This is the Hidden Killers podcast with Tony Brueski,
featuring former FBI Special Agent and Chief of the Counterintelligence Behavioral Analysis Program, Dreeke.
The twists and the turns of the world of Alex Murdaugh. It just keeps churning away new pieces that we all kind of scratch our heads at and go, how does all this tie in? Another piece just coming out very recently. The son of South Carolina Clerk of Court, Becky Hill, that's the one we've been talking about for quite some time now, who is having alleged to have tampered with the jury. Of course, still haven't had an evidentiary hearing, innocent until proven guilty, but her son now has been arrested on wire tampering charges. Yes, willfully and feloniously intercepting electronic phone communications between two people. Authorities say that Hill misused his county position to listen to conversations between two people. They don't really go into detail about what the conversation was about, if it connects to Alex Murdaugh, if it connects to Becky Hill whatsoever, but he has been now released on $20,000 bond. A SLED spokesman said the arrest is in tandem with the Public Integrity Unit of the 14th Circuit Solicitor's Office, which works on public corruption. One which I would imagine is probably looking in a bit to Becky as well, to see if those allegations are in fact true. Joining me to discuss, Dreeke, retired FBI Special Agent. Again, another thing in this building, top down, we've been talking about it. Seems to be a lot of things that go on behind the scenes there that really shouldn't be.
It's fascinating, isn't it? That, and I believe very firmly in a few things, because we talk about our behavior arcs. Our behavior that we exhibit and that people see generally kind of diffuses to the people around us in our environment as well, especially family members. Generally, when there's smoke, you wonder if there's fire.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw this with Murdaugh's own family, that abnormal and unhealthy behavior seems to diffuse outward, because if you're surrounded by it day in and day out, that becomes your normal. And so it's very easy to do this thinking it's a pattern of life that people do every single day. Mm-hmm. And again, it'll be interesting to see what's going on with the son, because it's just another data point. Another thing I think it's also really important that just sparked in my mind when you started sharing her son's issue. I was a big believer in this in the FBI, and inside big bureaucratic organizations, there are so many rules, processes, regulations, and anytime you're dealing with a bureaucracy like the court system, counties, states, the country, there are more rules than one human being could possibly ever follow 100% of the time, ethically, morally, intentionally, unintentionally, ever. It is just that burdensome. I mean, just do that own thought experiment. I mean, it's called a diag for us. It's an operational guideline. It's like this thick for FBI. And it's our rules and regulations for checks and balances and everything. So I always operated from a very simple philosophy of this. If you do your utmost and you do your best and you're reasonable in your actions, because courts are always about reasonableness, and you're reasonable in your actions, and you can articulate what your intent was and what actions you were taking in furtherance of that intent. And the intent you have is to take care of your bosses, take care of what the mission is, and do all these things outwardly focused, not on yourself. People will generally be on your side. They're not going to come at you. And so now we have two people in the same family that people are trying to get. That to me is very indicative of, it's just interesting.
It is. I mean, when you were talking earlier about, how people see the norm, if you will, through their prism of what they have been led to believe, what they've been conditioned with, basically. And if you have not been out of that bubble, some very abnormal things, maybe even illegal things, may not stand out to you as being wrong because, so-and-so did it over here, and my boss did it over here at one time, which is kind of how I was brought up. And yeah, there's the rules, but, we kind of do work this way, and everything, I guess, normally for a long time in that area ran smoothly, so to speak, depending on what side of the smooth you're on. But when you have this sort of thing happen, I mean, smoke, fire, yeah, it doesn't look good. Of all the people right now to be arrested on something like this, yeah, I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out, if it really has nothing whatsoever to do with Murdaugh, or if there is some sort of connection here.
Regardless whether it has any connection to Murdaugh or not, we're seeing a pattern of behavior that, especially when you're dealing with children of people that are in positions of trust, no one's born doing something wrong. We adapt the patterns of our life and behavior from those things and people we see around us, and that becomes our norm, like you said. And he's got behaviors that he's observed as being normal for what he did. So if you're, I guarantee you, if you were to ask anyone that's being accused of doing something wrong, if they were just following what everyone else ever did around them, they're saying, I didn't do anything wrong. Look, he does it, she does it. So that becomes norm, especially if you're doing something that's kind of not really articulated well, and it's kind of a moral and ethical choice, because we've seen this all the time. Just because something is unethical and immoral doesn't make it illegal.
Sure.
And so when you get people that see that kind of gray area, they're the ones that kind of flitting down the middle, kind of falling off on this side, kind of staying on this side. And but what he's doing a major disservice to his mother, hands down, because what you just did was you just brought more attention to the mother, which is now defending herself against the accusations. And so the more time you have, more eyeballs and people that are trying to get you, not trying to exonerate you, you stand a hard chance to stand up to that scrutiny. You really do.
Sick of the ads?
We are too.
Start listening with no commercials now and get access to all of our episodes in advance of everyone else.
Become a True Crime Today Premium Plus subscriber on Apple Podcasts.
Search True Crime Today Premium Plus on Apple Podcasts or go to our podcast page and sign up now.
True Crime Today Premium Plus.
Sign up now.